Hi everyone, welcome. The systems we're checking in on today is a pair of 153-day-old European nightcrawler worm bins. ENC is my abbreviation for European nightcrawler. Systems that have been so far over that time fed 12 times, and today their 13th feeding comes after 2 weeks since the last check-in. And I watched the video from the last check-in really quickly, just sort of buzzed through it. I didn't listen to it in detail or watch it, and I was just trying to get like some visual clues from it as far as how things looked. And I guess the one thing that stands out is that the stuff that we gave them last time looked like little bits of stuff that might have been used to make a salad or something. This is interesting too. It seems like the worms have been coming out onto the plastic to, I don't know, to do something, but that's where they're leaving all these castings. All this mound of material here is all freshly deposited castings, and seems to be a result of worms coming out of the bedding onto the plastic for some reason. I wonder what could be causing that. I usually don't see anything like that. I don't recall ever seeing anything like that, and maybe it's got something to do with what appears to me like perhaps excess moisture. There's just, it looks almost like mud. I don't know if that's the best way for things to be, you know. I mean, I was going to use my prepared bedding here, which is prepared pretty damp. I mean, it's not that damp. Probably has the potential to suck in a little bit of moisture into itself. I mean, we could always use some of my shredded paper cardboard that I make that stuff out of, which is just sitting there straight out of the shredder and dry. I don't know. I'll think about it. Perhaps that stuff that we've got there, the prepared stuff, is good enough as is. So I figured we'd just do like what we did last time, just basically excavate the feeding zone from last time, see how things look. And I guess just judging from the stuff that I saw placed in here for the feeding last time 2 weeks ago, chunks of lettuce and tomato and stuff like that, it seemed like the sort of feeding that would leave very little signs of leftovers. So I think they are due for their next meal. I'm reminded now that we had left pieces of paper out here on the surface, of which there's pretty much no sign. I mean, I can go grab another couple similar pieces of paper that we could drape out across the top when we're done here. I guess I like that idea. I've always got some sort of paper that I'd like to break down. Last time it was those tissue-like sheets of paper that the individually wrapped toilet paper rolls come in. And I don't know, maybe a piece of newspaper this time, or maybe just another toilet paper wrap. Let me go see what I can drum up. So I was able to round up a couple more of those, and I even have a couple random pieces of brown paper bag material here. So why don't we get to being generous with bedding, I think. Perhaps not too generous down in the feeding zone. Perhaps we'll be more generous by blending some in with the rest of the material here in these systems. So let's I guess the way this is going to work is just, you know, one system's going to get the potato, because I even took a knife to that thing, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get any of that stuff to dislodge from itself. So for that reason, it's going to be kind of a fair split by that frozen mound of food going there and this frozen mound of food going here. And, well, perhaps this mound has a little bit more variety to it and might be more, I don't know, I thought it might be more prone to being busted apart, but evidently not. Alright, you know, we could drop in just a little bit more bedding on top of that lovely iceberg of food. And then I want to come in with material from the sides. I'll throw some grit on here too. Material from the sides. I guess my idea here is to blend stuff in, but while we're doing that, it seems like a good idea to try to blend in bedding with each of these outer edges that we're going to be stirring through and blending a bit. And this might be a little bit more than I'll usually, than what I'll typically be seen doing, but it does seem to me like the system could certainly use it. Because if what we saw as far as what they did with the top sheet of paper that was left for them out there, they just completely trashed it. And I think the bedding that we used last time was kind of on the skimpy side, perhaps a few napkins. Perhaps these nightcrawlers are really craving a more carbon type food substance. I'm sure, sure they're more than happy to work down the food scraps and kitchen scraps and stuff like that, the more nitrogen rich type foods, but sometimes you get that sense that perhaps what they're really interested in is something more on the bedding side as far as stuff to nibble on. So that worked kind of nicely. Just that process of blending material in and tilling stuff up left us with a nice coating of material out over our feeding zone. And I would say what looks even nicer than that is the way we've got some bedding all blended in everywhere throughout this material now. All this stuff that pretty much looks like overly damp vermicompost and virtually nothing more now actually has a little bit of carbon in it, a little bit of bedding material, and I've got a feeling it's going to bring the moisture level to something that feels a little bit more close to normal by the next time we get in here. Oh, look at this little guy. I don't know if you saw that. I had to put the little guy right back in his place because it was trying to sneak away. Alright, well, I've got a couple pieces of paper here that I figured I would include with the top cover. Tissue type paper. And if what they did to their top cover paper last time is what they're going to do with this stuff, then it doesn't matter what I put out here because we're going to see no sign of it. And that interesting hourglass type shape that the top cover took when the worms started working their way out to the surface, there again I wonder if we're going to continue to see that sort of behavior and that sort of depositing of castings. Perhaps not, now that we've added a whole bunch of bedding down into the system. I got a feeling that that was probably just what the doctor ordered in terms of what these systems needed the most. Sure, they were probably ready for their next meal, but I think the nice generous helping of bedding we just gave them is perhaps even more of a important ingredient that was included in today's check-in. So, well, I guess just for the record, we are putting this thing on pretty thoroughly all the way out to the edges. Whether we come back in and see hourglass shapes again, well, I guess that remains to be seen. We'll see you next time we come back in here. So I got a couple things I got to take care of getting cleaned up and put away, but I'm not going to waste your time with that. That's boring. Before I go really quick, let me just say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now. You know, in most cases, if I forgot to include a particular piece of food that I intended to give the worms, and it was just sitting there on the side and I didn't manage to include it because I just spaced out, well, in most cases I think I would just leave that food out, but I have these pieces of bread that were just resting in some water, soaking off to the side, and out of sight, out of mind. Even if it's just out of sight for about 2 minutes, it's apparently enough for it to be out of my mind. Perhaps it's a sign that I'm going out of my mind. So either way, I just wanted to get that last morsel of food in there for them. And, you know, what else am I going to do with a bunch of soggy bread down here in my wormery? All right, once again, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye again.